Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday. If you enjoy this video, hit that like button, and if you want to submit to be on the show, take a look at the information in the description. Hello.
Hey, how are you, Bart?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Yeah, so the hand that I had was not, it's more of a question of what the proper or the correct decision would have been
Sure.
on the casino's end.
Uh-huh.
But basically, I was in a hand with the opponent directly to the right of me. Um, he had aces, I had kings. After the river bet, we were both all in, and we both turned our cards over face up and placed them down on the table.
Okay.
And the dealer didn't see that I had a flush. I didn't even know I had a flush at the end.
Okay, so let's just slow down here. So you guys were all in just on the river, or were you actually all in before the river?
After the river, yeah.
So who made the bet on the river, just out of curiosity?
He made the bet at all three streets, and I just called each time.
You just called.
Yeah, he bet the flop, he bet the turn.
Okay.
He jammed the river, and I called.
So your opponent has ace-ace, and you have king-king. There's probably some sort of multi-bet pre-flop, right? Like a 3 or a 4 bet or something like that.
Yes.
He goes bet, river's all in, right? And you call, you've got kings, which is obviously like an overpair or something, okay? So,
yeah, I had two black kings.
So he turns his hand over, right? And you turn your hand over as well?
Yes.
Just to kind of show like the bad beat or whatever?
I wanted to show that I did have some.
Shit, I'm unlucky. I've got kings. You've got black kings, but somehow you don't recognize that there's actually a 4 flush on board of black cards, or for whatever reason, and you have a flush, right? You have a flush.
Yeah, it was late night. It was I think it was a 5-5 1,000 cat game.
Okay. No, I mean that's fine. I just want to make it clear for everyone. So you call the bet. Obviously, you're lucky that you turn your hand over. You have a flush. Yeah. He doesn't have a flush. There's a 4 flush out there. You turn your hand over, and then what happens?
The dealer grabs both of our cards.
Okay.
And flips them over face down.
Okay.
Onto the deck pile of cards.
Sure.
And then he gathers the chips, and the moment he starts pushing it towards my opponent, two of the players at the table stopped him and said, "What are you doing?"
Right.
He didn't win the hand; he had a flush.
Right, because it's pretty obvious, right? I mean, this is an easy one. You said it was late, and sometimes we miss. I mean, listen, I've made live misclicks all the time, but unlike the one call that we had last week in a high-low game where it was like a set over set or 2 pair over 2 pair, and somebody backed into a straight and a 4-card game, that's easy to miss. But here, for your opponents that are watching the hand, it's pretty easy to pick up, right? There's a 4 flush on board. You got black kings. Okay. So he mucks your hand. He starts pushing the pot to the guy. Okay.
Yeah, he mucked both of our hands at the same time.
Okay.
And then before he even got the chips to him, he stopped and he looked at the board and he said, "Oh," like he knew. He said, "Oh, you know what? Don't worry, guys. I'm called 4-man."
Okay.
He said nobody touched anything. And then the 4-man came. We explained it to him. First thing he did was check the cameras. And when he came back, he said we would chop the pot because I wasn't aware of what I had or what my hand was. And in the camera, you can't tell if the cards are spades or clubs. You could only tell if it was black or red.
Okay, so...
And I said, that's nonsense. I asked for the supervisor.
Yeah.
He came, he checked the camera, and he came back and he said the same thing.
So I'm just writing this out here. So what you're saying is that your hands were tabled, you've got black kings, and the board comes out like a 4 flush or whatever. I'm just going to write up a random board for just so that people know where we're at here. You turn it over, they muck both cards, and then they stop because the people at the table say, "Hey, what's going on? This guy had a flush." So the initial floor, when the initial floor comes over, he asks the dealer what happened, and did the dealer tell him that this guy had a flush and I was pushing the pot the wrong way?
He said I didn't see the flush because of my actions. Because my actions was was like I lost. Like I even told the guy nice hand.
Uh-huh.
You know, so he didn't verify the board. He just, based off of our actions and our talking, he just automatically started pushing chips towards him.
And you said this was at the bicycle casino, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what would happen here is the floor guy walks over to the dealer, asks him what happened. The dealer didn't see the flush, okay? Normally what would then happen, though, especially if I was sitting at the table and I wasn't involved in the hand, and I would say, I saw it, and then maybe somebody else would say, I saw it. Did the two guys who had stopped the dealer speak up to the floor and say, we saw it, that the guy had black kings?
Yes, and then also once the floor came, a third player confirmed.
So
also.
3 people told the floor that you had a flush. That is usually enough. That's like 99.9%. The floor is usually going to rule in your favor. Obviously, if the dealer said it too. What about your opponent? Is your opponent acting like you didn't have it, or is he just trying to fuck you over by like taking the pot? What do you think?
He didn't say a word, and the second the floor came, asked the players what they saw, and the 3 players spoke up. He said, "Okay, let me go check the cameras." As soon as he left, he tapped me and he asked me if I wanted to chop the pot.
The floor guy asked you if you wanted to chop the pot.
No, my opponent did.
Your opponent asked you if you wanted to chop the... Oh, this is at very many levels. I don't know. First of all, I mean, obviously the bicycle casino, like and that's really where I started out playing back in 2004, 2005. There are some better floor guys than others. There are some better supervisors than others. Chopping the pot is very rarely ever the right decision. That's a very, very easy way out. I can't believe that the floor said after going to the cameras that they were going to rule that the pot was chopped. That's really bizarre. Did they not say, did they not come back and ask you guys for some sort of resolution? Did they say, well, we can't really see it. Maybe you guys like a suggestion, or did he rule they're going to chop the pot?
He ruled that they were going to chop the pot.
That's really, really, really bizarre, I got to say. And on top of that, I think it's a little bit shady that your opponent's asking to chop the pot. If I'm your opponent and 3 people that I don't think are after me for whatever reason said that they saw a flush, I'm going to give you the pot. Now, again, I'm playing as a for-profit player. Some people have different ethics and morals than I do. Like I said, it sounds really bizarre that guy would offer to chop the pot with you. It seems to me like he saw the fact that you had...
He knew. He knew.
So the guy's a scumbag.
He knew. That was question.
Especially if 3 people at the table saw your hand and the hand was tabled... That's bizarre. I would have put out a bloody... And the other thing, too, I would have put out a stink. The other thing, too, is that we've had these people that have called in the last few months, and surprisingly, when a lot of these times when they've gone to the camera actually can see what has happened. So you must have just gotten unlucky in a weird spot where they couldn't see what happened. But the thing is that if your hand is black kings... and there's a 4 flush of either clubs or spades out there, can't the camera tell that your cards are black?
So, so when the first foreman came back, I didn't even argue with him. I just said, please bring your supervisor. He came out. I explained to him what happened. So did the dealer. He said he'll check the cameras, and he gave the same ruling. And I said, how do you guys verify jackpots if you can't tell if it's a spade or a heart or a club or a diamond? And he didn't say anything, and he pulled me to the side and said, if I was aware of my hand, he would have awarded me that pot. But because I wasn't aware of my own hand, that's why he made the decision to make it a chop.
The supervisor said that?
Yeah.
That's just bullshit. I mean, that's just straight up bullshit. I mean, that he's just making it up as he goes along. I don't know who the supervisor was. I don't know. I mean, that's just, and you actually make a really, really good argument about verifying jackpots. And, you have 2 black cards in your hand, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if the camera can see that your cards are black, and then again, maybe I'm giving them too much credit. The logical thing would be, I would go back to the table and say, did everybody see the fact that this guy had pocket kings or a pair in his hand? And if like 5 people said, yes, he had kings, and they can see that you've got 2 black cards, then you had to have a flush, right? because you couldn't have like something in spades if there was all clubs out there, like a suited hand, right? But
Well, he's saying like the cards on the board, they can't tell if well, actually, yeah, there's no excuse for it. And
no, there isn't. I mean, that's a bull. I mean, you're getting screwed over by your opponent, who's trying to quasi-angle you, and then the supervisor's just making it. I mean, what you just relayed to me, if it's accurate, about if you knew what you held and your hand was tabled, he would have awarded you the pot, but because you didn't and your hand was tabled, he's not. That's just flat out like it's one of the worst rulings / just make it up as you go along. And this sometimes comes up with the territory, in card rooms. I'm a little bit surprised, like it comes from from a supervisor's, perspective. But people in the chat are saying, oh, where is this? Don't the cards speak? Yes, the cards speak. The point though is that the dealer can't confirm. The dealer for some reason didn't see the flush. The player's hand's tabled. And the other players are confirming that he had pocket kings. For the supervisor to come over and say, because you didn't know that you didn't have a hand, I'm going to award a chop pot. First of all, I've never even heard of a supervisor saying that the house ruling is a chop pot. How are they ruling it's a chop pot? That's a bullshit ruling anyways, a chop pot. I've never seen that. The only time I've ever seen that is that the supervisor or floor guy will come over and say, we can't really determine what happened. Maybe it's best if you guys chop it up, if you guys agree. But I've never had somebody say, oh, the ruling is it's a chop pot. If they can't determine what your suits are, and the dealer doesn't know what your suits are, and they aren't going to go by the players that are at the table, then the pot should be awarded to your opponent, right? Not a chop pot. I'm not saying that that's the...
Yeah, either way.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's a bullshit.
Yeah.
So
but, what I told the floor man was, like if this is going to be the decision you make, like I won't play her anymore.
Yeah.
And one of the players, I didn't even know him. It was an older gentleman. He got up and he said, I will never play her again because of this decision. And they let him walk out the casino,
Oh, you mean he was one of the guys that said you had kings and he just got up and
no,
left?
he was just there quiet at the table, and then at the very end when the decision came out, he was so upset about the decision he just left. And he actually yelled like he was upset, like he was yelling that he would never play here again, and he can't believe the decision that they made, and he was trying to make a scene. And I was just like standing there like, yeah, I agree.
I mean, the other thing too is that, look, it's everybody's prerogative. I mean, if I were you, I would kind of be like, well, yeah, buddy, why didn't you say something? You're going to walk out now, but you wouldn't say anything to the fucking guy while this was going on. You couldn't be the fourth player to say that I had kings, black kings, but he's going to walk out.
No, actually, everybody at the table said I had black kings.
Well, okay, everybody. Oh, so everybody at the table, whatever. I thought you just had said 3 or 4. I mean, that's amazing to me.
Those are the three that stood up first.
That's amazing to me that everyone at the table said that you had kings, except the dealer couldn't see it. They go to the cameras, they can't confirm it, and they rule it a chop pot. And your opponent won't give you the pot. Because obviously
he literally
knows.
took his half and just left right away.
So he took his half and bolted. Man, there's scum everywhere.
He was uncomfortable.
You gotta... I mean, it's amazing. You got to protect yourself in poker. I mean, that's
of course. And that's my main point. You always have to protect yourself. Especially in tournaments. But what I told the format was, you know what? I understand your side that I should be aware of my own hand, and I should always, know that. But I said I did my job as a player to turn my cards over.
Sure.
At that point, it's the dealer's job to verify who has a winning hand. So if the dealer didn't do his part and I have to suffer for it, I didn't think that was I didn't agree with that.
No, listen, I agree.
You didn't hear me out.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. It's a very unfortunate situation for you. I got to move along, though. Thank you for the call.
Okay.
Appreciate it. If you like what you've seen here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this call-in hand, hit the like button down below. To check out crushlivepoker.com, click on the link in the description. Use the code YTA300 to get the first 30 days for free.